And I'll just repeat the first part quickly. I'm sure it won't hurt. Hello, everyone. Here we are. I will repeat the first paragraph since I started talking and forgot to do the record. So here we go. So according to the cube of space, just how did we get here? The story goes that our body is conceived on the lover's card at the edge of the cube called east above. That's up here. This child is called the suspended man. It moves directly down from the lover's card into and hidden by the womb of the universal mother, the empress card, right here. She is found at the center of the east face of the cube. Mem is the Hebrew letter of the suspended man. The value of Mem is 40. So the child spends 40 weeks developing in the mother's womb. Amazing how these cards come together. From there, the child moves across to the center of the cube to the west card. Let's get our little diagram out now. There we go. I'm going to scoot this over as far as I can. Grab it. Whoops. Did you disappear on me? Yes, you disappeared on me. See if I can find it again. Otherwise, I'll pull it up. Okay, we need to have that. Let's see something. There we go. All right. The suspended man, the child, is tied to the empress by an umbilical cord. When the suspended man reaches the world card found at the center of the cube, it becomes joined to the world card by the invisible silver cord of life. The silver cord of life starts at the center of the cube and flows to the wheel of fortune card, taking the suspended man with it. So now we're traveling from the center and we're heading out over here to the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune card is turning on the middle of the western face of the cube, this spinning there. The Hebrew letter Kaf is draped over the figure of the world card, which is here, there's Kaf, and rules the Wheel of Fortune card over here. The Wheel of Fortune card is the door that you will go through to get onto the surface of the cube of space. Meanwhile, the Fool card, right up here, representing your higher self, the inner self, descends from above within the cube and unites with the world card at the center. So prior to this point, nothing's happening. You've got a body going, but the breath of life has not occurred yet. You once again take on a new mask represented by the world card, and that mask is your personality. You are drawn to and arrive at the west face through the door of the revolving Wheel of Fortune. Okay, there's just one more tricky thing that happens. You've taken on the attribute of the suspended man, which is reversal. Look at the dancer on the world key right here. It dances on its right foot upright. Look at the hanged man. He's suspended by his right foot upside down. This means that by the time you, the higher self, enters at the Wheel of Fortune door, you have completely forgotten your past and your inner self. Yes, really. You take your first breath, the breath of God, which enables your inner self to now enter into this little body prepared for you by Mother Nature. It's at the point of breath, the first breath of life that you take, that you enter. So the body has been well developed by the mother and in perfect shape. It moves, it responds, it hears, everything's going on inside the womb. But you enter at the point of the first breath. You being your soul, which is now wrapped around the self. And that happens when you inhale your first breath. So here you are, ready to experience all of your spiritual potentials, but they are actually hidden from you just when you need them the most. Just as you incarnate into this physical plane of existence, you've forgotten everything. I have a feeling that you're beginning to see where this little book called the Tarot comes in. I always call it the book that should have also come out of the womb, so you would have directions. It's like you even can buy a cake off a shelf at the grocery store and it has directions, but no, you arrive, no directions. Many of the ancient sages would write about how difficult it was to progress on the great work because they had to start basically from scratch each time they reincarnated. Though it would get much easier to progress with the more effort made each lifetime, and their ability to see beyond their current life became a reality, still, a very, very long life became a goal of many of them in order to reach a level of spiritual perfection beyond this physical plane. Yeah, so, and you'll find out why, because as we go around each phase, you realize the more you develop, the faster things move and the more opportunities you have. Okay, so now you've arrived at the west face. Try to be upbeat. Just think you've done this before. The west face of the cube consists of the Wheel of Fortune in the center. Below it is the Deceiver card. So let's take a look at where we're going. That's this. So we have reincarnated, and let's move the west face over here so we can watch this as we move along. The next card after the Deceiver, so here's your Deceiver card. You've arrived here, see the arrows, you come down, you head around, and you go around in a circle. So the Deceiver is transition, which is at the southwest edge of the cube over here. And sorry to say, most don't get past transition before they have to reincarnate again. Like I said, we have to work on getting off the west face. If you are able to get past transition, which also means change, then you move to temperance at the west above edge of the cube. As you can see, you are making a circle around the west face. Your last stop on the west face will be your fifth stop at the Justice card on the northwest edge. From there, you will travel on to the north face. So you'll head out to the left. All right, let's see what's happening here. Now you know the logistics of getting around the west face. So let's take a look at what's actually happening there. Each face has a theme, particular obstacles to overcome, habits to change. A big part of your effort on the west face is just to get off it before you die. I'm sorry, it's entertaining to me because we've done this so many times. So you just have to kind of hang in there and hope for the best. Seeing the tarot as a roadmap can be very helpful. The Wheel of Fortune is your first stop where your destiny or karma is attached to you when you arrive. It's like the soul is set. You have things that you've brought with you, and now how you work on them is set in your soul. Your second stop is the Deceiver. Here you are fully asleep to your inner self. All you see is all there is. Now you understand what this is, why this is your first stop. You are chained to this deception, though at any time you can lift the chains. A review of this card would be in order. You are unaware of your real nature. It is this sleep that promotes every level of violence in the world, setting soul against soul. I'll just repeat that. You are unaware of your real nature. It is this sleep that promotes every level of violence in the world, setting soul against soul. You are blind to the truth of the world, the living body of light that joins us all. If you are unable to wake up just a little bit, transition awaits. Oh, joy. Our inner lives, the most important aspect of living, is ignored or neglected. Through the third step at the gate of transition, you return to the dancer in the world at the center. So remember this one. The world at the center, there it is. You return there. And assume a new identity to travel the path of the suspended man once again through the door of the Wheel of Fortune onto the west face. But there's hope when at some point you begin to question the meaning of life and begin to have an overwhelming desire to commune with your inner self. You will be able to advance to temperance up here. And we have discussed at length each of these cards. So this is just going to give you an overview of moving through life. It's like getting directions, but you have to step out on them in order to realize that their effect upon your life. And that's when those amazing, interesting events occur in your life that you will attract to yourself in order to find out more about life. This test on the path of spiritual awakening is passed by acquiring the ability to see the blindness caused by all of the outward pleasures and distractions of the material world. Here you will find the Archangel Michael to help you along your way. And if you have a dog barking, put yourself on mute, please. Thank you. Your tendencies towards selfishness and indifference will be overcome by compassion for the human condition and your fellow man. Up to this point, we have no idea that life has any real meaning, incarnation after incarnation. But we need both the deceiver and the angel to nudge us in order to move along our spiritual path. Again, a review of the temperance card is in order at this point. Without all the suffering, resistance, and pain, we might not turn within for help. If you desire to pursue a spiritual path, the angel will guide you. Temperance is the verification card. The theories you have come up with so far need to be verified by experience. Application is the only way that you'll know the truth. If you'll know if something works, you have to be practical. You are beginning to transform your personality. It's not all talk. It's not an intellectual exercise. This is not a debate. Learning about yourself, sitting around having a philosophical debate and being right or wrong or whatever doesn't count. Like I've said in the past, the proof is in the pudding. If you're happy, you have a level life, and you're starting to open up spiritually, that's the proof. And how you get there is study the tarot cards, because they're there to teach you the whole understanding of how the three characters in the cards, the superconscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the conscious mind, all within you, how they operate with you, how you direct, you, the conscious mind, direct the subconscious mind. The things you ask for are delivered to you. God loves all of us equally. And our Creator gives us what we ask for and where we focus our attention and where we place our attention. And if we have an opportunity to change, if things keep repeating, we could always say, well, I could do this the rest of my life, or I could try something different. And the idea of the tarot is to show you that there are other things you can try out in order to create a different life for yourself. So you can at least get off the west face of the card. So verification is proof in the pudding. Is it working? Are you transforming? And there are the help from temperance, from the angel, is because there are initiations called illumination and self-realization and baptism. And when you have one of these initiations, it's not a point of discussions. You actually change chemically, your body changes. And then it's easier to get closer to the creator within you. You are beginning to transform your personality. It's not all talk. It's not an intellectual exercise. You are realizing and beginning to live and govern your life by a new set of rules that sets you apart from most of your fellow men. The object of tempering is to impart strength. It's how swords were made. They were put in a fire and red hot, and then pounded and then put into water, and then fire and water and fire and water. And that's temperance. It imparts strength. You will need it to stay the course. This is the hero's journey. So the direction of northwest is the last step on the west face right here. This is the gate to the north face of the cube, and justice will bar you from it if you aren't ready. Notice she's holding a sword. In fact, the only character that holds a sword is the feminine. Discrimination, chopping away all the stuff you don't need, and also keeping all you want to work on. So if you stood in a circle and you spun around with a sword in your hand, you could decide, I'm going to work on this now, and I'll do the rest another lifetime. You don't have to do everything. It'll come to you what you need to do. Also, she is the first step of the northern face. This is the gate to the north face of the cube, and justice will bar you if you're not ready. Justice is the card of equilibrium and action. So, good time to review that card. Here you begin to learn the principles of polarity. The Kabbalion states, it's a great little book. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. The opposites are identical in nature, but different in degrees. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. To destroy an undesirable rate of vibration, put in the operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. To destroy an undesirable rate of vibration, that means everything is mind. We've talked about this. So something keeps going through your head continuously. Put in operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Redirect your attention. And you might want to pick up this book, The Kabbalion. It's really a great little book. It's pretty short, small, good for carrying around and reading from time to time. Faith is necessary to accomplish the great work. Without it, you have nothing. You must have confidence in the principles by which you operate. Begin to study the lives of those who have gone before you on the path. There have been many. Live your life as they did. Use discrimination, get out your sword in your activities. Remember to use the sword and smile. Remember, your first task is to get off the west face of the cube of space. So with that, any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Oh,
Margot?
yeah. Yeah.
It was little Cooper barking. I apologize.
That's okay.
Well, he's got a voice on him. You said that one of the key ideas, and this resonated very deeply with me, about the deceiver card. And I have since been looking at my false premises. And this is actually a huge thing in my life. because I'm realizing that I, like all other humans that I know, lie to themselves and believe things that are false. A premise can be false or true, but you're saying that to get off of the west side, the deceiver card, we have to start to see things as they really are and have correct premises.
Underlying premise. It's when you ask for something, but the underlying premise is limited, then you get a limited response, a limited creation in your life. So the idea that all you see is all there is an underlying premise that's inaccurate. That there is a whole lot more. What happens is when you say, okay, so what does that mean? There's a whole lot more. I want to know. God will deliver the information to you. It will bring into your life that information in order for you to grow. If you don't question life, but you just, get up, you have breakfast, you go to work, you come home, you have your kids, you have your family, things go on, then you get diseases, and then you go.
No, thanks.
There's joy. And it's wonderful to have family. This is all very normal. This is nature, but we are not our bodies.
No, that's right.
And when we think that, what happens is the information we need to understand that and have the experience that we're not our bodies starts to come into our life through either people we know or friends, family, the person at the checkout counter, billboards, the information we need to grow on this west face. So you notice the cards that are involved. So those are the cards you have to deal with first. Okay, and then we're going to go to the next face, and then those are the second set of cards we deal with. So this is also gives you an idea of, first, all you see is not all there is. Then transition just means change. And I love the term sacred chaos. When chaos enters your life, it means a change is coming, and you are going to be maybe very uncomfortable, or it won't be so difficult. It might be a minor change, or it might be a major change. But what you want to do is, instead of getting emotionally involved and freaking out, step back, because you aren't your body, step back and go, okay, what's really going on here? What am I learning to let go of? Or where am I going that God wants me to go to? And so, in other words, take a proactive attitude. Don't burn your fingers while this chaos is going on. Instead, evaluate, step out of yourself and go, is there another way I can deal with this? Where am I being directed to by my Creator? You're always getting help. But some people think, I can't, instead of, where is this going? What's it doing? I'm not comfortable. Why am I not comfortable? Oh, there's that thing I like to do all the time and never stop doing, like putting off stuff or whatever. Okay. And until you look at it, you're going to be uncomfortable again and again and again. Okay, so there you have this card, the things that maybe make you uncomfortable. And I just want to share this. You will always have chaos, because as long as you want to go along the path, the hero's journey, you'll always be going through changes. They may not be as horrific as they were early on. You then develop a sense of humor and smile. By the time you get to the Justice card, you're like, oh my God. And you always have help. Remember this little card, Temperance. You have help. So as you're going through this difficulty, your sacred chaos, smile, and help will arrive. And you don't know where it'll come from. I've had things that I've asked for a solution to, and then sat back and a day later had a solution. And I was like, oh my God, it would never have occurred to me. 4 people were involved in that solution, 3 of whom I didn't even know would help me with the problem. I actually wrote this down one time. I went, I would never have come up with that solution. And it was wonderful. So God works in mysterious ways for us. It's wonderful. So I'm going to then move us on to the next phase. And in the interim, we're going to try a new little visualization exercise that I just put up on willpower. I think this little picture is a little bright. So go ahead. I'm going to close your eyes. I'm just going to read this. You know where it is on my website and you can come back to it. But I just want you all to think about using your willpower. Okay. During this week, do the following experiment. Its purpose is to direct your willpower to another part of your body. This time, visualize the small organ in the center of your head, the pineal gland, near the middle of your brain. It acts as the connecting link between your sympathetic nervous system and your spinal nervous system and makes all spiritual demonstrations possible. Concentrate and think of a very small organ in what is nearly the exact center of your head. Then direct your willpower to flow to it and make it larger and warm. Again, then direct your willpower to flow to it and make it larger and warm. This will make the blood flow to it more strongly and the willpower also. In a few minutes, you will feel a strange sensation of warmth in your head, and it will be pleasant. It will take a number of days before you will notice any other effects from this second experiment. But you will soon find that you are increasing your intuition and spiritual reception. This last experiment is a good one to do at night while going to sleep, as well as at other times during the day, for it only takes a few minutes. And each of you know that when you do something before you go to sleep, you are directing your subconscious mind to create it for you so that you rest, and the next day you wake up to having this in your life. So now we are entering the north face of the cube of space through the Justice card. Justice links the west face to the north face at the northwest edge of the cube. We've also managed to get off the west face. That's good news. The bad news is that it's not only dark, but you're alone. You know that there's something more to life than the material world, but you're not quite sure what that is. Your experiences acquired through the use of the sword, aka discrimination, has allowed you to test your ideas about life to find out what truly works for you. You are beginning to eliminate things that you no longer want in your house. You have questions, but you're beginning to find out that answers to them are hard to come by. Your friends and family try to help, but you keep thinking that there's more. So let me move us over here. And let me get to the north face. If I can get it on there without losing it, we'll be in good shape. So there it is. You are beginning to eliminate things you no longer want in your house. The Hermit card. So here's where you're coming in the door. See the arrows, they go down. Now this is a different circle. Over here, up here, and then you end up in the center. So that's going to be a little tricky. So how do you get off the face from the center? We will talk about that. So the Hermit card at the edge, called North Below, that's here, North Face, North Below, is your next stop. See the diagram below, which shows the order in which you'll be visiting the cards on the north face. The Hermit stands alone at the summit, guiding travelers on the path of return. What he is telling you at this point in your journey is to look within rather than without for the answers that you seek. One of the great things to say to you when you look within is, I'm wondering about this. Tell me about it. And then be quiet and don't try and figure things out. So looking within is actually talking to God and saying, show me this. I'm wondering about it. And then if something comes to you, say, tell me more. This is very important. Tell me more. You are not figuring things out with your brain. You're now giving yourself over and communicating with your creator and allowing it to communicate with you. And it may not seem easy to do that at first. You may be sitting there for a while going, nothing's happening here. And then you go down the street and you go to the grocery store and someone walks up to you and says something to you, and that's the answer to your question. You have to be open to all sorts of sources for your information. So we're being told to look within by the Hermit card. And also remember that after you do this class, you can always go back and have the class in front of you and pause it and then look at one of the cards and study it and see what it's telling you. You'll begin to critically examine all of your preconceived ideas that are based on the appearances of your outer world. Here, you're no longer prevented from this research by the myriad of distractions of the outer world. It's dark and you feel alone. So remember, you arrive at this phase and it's pitch black. You'll begin to feel the peace of the inner world, even if fleetingly. You make space in your life or begin to change activities in your life to allow yourself time to just close your eyes and be still. We always ask for a sacred space in our homes, or a corner of our bedroom, or some little spot where we like to read a book, or we like to study, or we can allow ourselves to be quiet. Or you may spend more time outdoors in nature, but you now begin to see it as not just an athletic adventure, but as a way to get in touch with your inner self. You may even begin to study the lives of spiritual teachers of different religions. You may pick up books on Buddhism or the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran. They all have things to teach. If you review the Hermit Key 9 on this block, you will note that he represents a connection between what you eat and your nervous system. Remember that, yeah. What you eat enters your bloodstream and thus determines the health of your body and your brain. The body must also be prepared to receive more light. Light is power, force, and energy. So keeping your body in tip-top shape by right eating and right exercise is a good idea. Remember, your body is the vehicle within which you ride on this journey, so take good care of it. Look both ways before you cross the street. Get your head out of your cell phone and look both ways. Some people, they go off the west face just stepping out in front of traffic. Unbelievable, what a waste. We now move on to the next card, the Emperor, on the northeast edge of this north face of the cube. So there's our little Emperor. You remember him. He's the consort of the Empress. He is the card of reason and logic. His title means he who sets in order. The letter meaning of the card is window. And there's a little window down there. Remember, when you're looking at the cards, you have all these little symbols to remind you what's going on the card. So from the vantage point of a window, you can survey all of your surroundings and everything that goes on around you, but not necessarily get involved. Keep a little distance, especially when chaos enters. Back off. Don't get involved. You don't have to. That's a different concept. People go, oh, I've got to do this and fix that and that. No, not necessarily. Step back. See what's really going on. So look out like you're looking out through a window. You don't necessarily get involved. But the Emperor is doing more than just looking out a window. He teaches you that you can develop true vision by looking into the things around you. By looking deeply into nature, it will reveal itself to you. The orange exercise. This must be ringing little bells with all of you. You've all heard about the orange exercise. Yeah, you can have eternity revealed to you by doing the orange exercise. It's like it places you there. There's never an end. It will prove to be very helpful at this point in your life. You will develop feelings that will awaken your inner or spiritual senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. If our perception of our environment is based on its outer appearance, then our response to it and how we live our lives will be short-sighted and muddled. And remember, we've talked about the senses before. Your physical senses are actually the result of your inner spiritual senses. So when you leave your body, you take all your senses with you. They're just not in this vehicle. And then when you get a new vehicle, if it's a good vehicle, it's in good repair, when you arrive again, you now have all these senses, but they're going through the vehicle. And then, of course, you've arrived again and you've forgotten the fact that they're not the source. It's always such fun. So if our perception of our environment is based on its outer appearance, then our response to it and how we live our lives will be short-sighted and muddled. He also symbolizes both authority and paternity. We must take steps to establish dominion over our lives. Crack that whip. The symbol on his helmet is the sun. So let's look at him. There it is. There's the sun up there. The background is orange, another sun symbol. The sun also has to do with health and vitality. His throne rests on nature, the green, indicated by green, the color of Venus and love. The Egyptian Ankh here is also a symbol of Venus. Thus, he rules with love and his authority is established on love. This is also his protection, his armor. This is another lesson that you must learn and incorporate into your life in order to move from one card to the next on the north face. Fear has no place in love. From fear comes anger and all kinds of, scary things, and I'm not good enough, and all kinds of weird things. Okay, that's fear. Just jump on the love wagon, and a lot of that stuff will just fall away. Relax with life, enjoy it, and smile a lot. The fourth card is found on the edge north above. At this point, we have made a full circle on the north face of the cube of space. We're all the way up here. Here we find the card called Strength. It represents the agency of suggestion, and it is through this agency that we are able to control effortlessly the modification of external conditions in our lives. Learning how to use the law of suggestion, though, does take some understanding and effort. A more thorough explanation may be found on this site called Strength Key 8. Remember, when you speak to the subconscious mind, you're talking to the feminine mind. So you want to be sweet and kind and not yell. I have to have this now. No. Suggestion. It's amenable. The subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion. Say, oh, your knee is sore. Oh, poor body. I see it perfect. I see every fiber in your knee just being perfect. Look at that. You are so lovely and perfect. Say that if your knee is bothering you. Suggestion. Once you start to live knowing this, when you suggest calmly with love, you have results. But it just takes practice, and practice makes perfect. I mean, if you went out on the tennis court and it's the first time, you'd be running around getting the ball. After a few times, you actually may hit the ball. And then years later, you may actually be pretty good at it. So just be patient, be kind. Talk nicely to your subconscious mind. Never be upset. So at this stage, you begin to explore various forms of spiritual exercises, including meditation, contemplation, and the use of visualization. Check out the other spiritual exercises on this site, and I'm adding them from time to time. And I'm adding them from the Holy Order of Man's.org site, where there's a curriculum, and there's lots of meditations on there on the curriculum page. So I'm just moving them over from there. You may even pursue a more formal discipline, such as yoga, for the first time. The red lion represents the deceiver card from the west face. You now not only recognize this deceiver for what it is, but you're able to confront it with love, not hate and fear. Your eyes are turned inward, not outward. So look at the face on this woman. She's totally relaxed. Look at this roaring lion, and surrounded by a figure 8 of roses and green leaves, resting on green, the color of love. Your eyes are turned inward, not outward. You are still on your own, so you'll make mistakes, but you're heading in the right direction. This is not instantaneous. All right. Oh my God. We're at the center of the face, and look at the card we get to see. So now you're beginning to realize that placing the cards in different combinations gives you different results. My suggestion is work on and study the west face before you come to this face. The final card is in the center of the north face. This is a rather dramatic card, the Tower, and must be approached cautiously. All that we see is not all that there is, and this is driven home in a flash from within. The manner of the experience is different for everyone, but the result is the same. You'll never be the same as you were before. This is your first awakening, a first moment of clear vision, and it will never be lost. In the East, this is termed illumination. In the West, it's also termed illumination, and it exists in both places. So let me see. But this is actually an experience of destruction. All of your customary wrong thinking and wrong action must go. In order to release the chains that bind us, we must learn how to break them, beginning where you are right now. Forget the past. It doesn't exist. You can't go back and rearrange it no matter how hard you try. So the forget powerfulness of the deceiver card and the powerful binding influence of the Wheel of Fortune card on the west face are tossed aside. Here is the culmination of all of your previous work on the west and north faces. It is instantaneous. The flash comes from the light in the lantern of the hermit, and that light comes from the sun. So there's the hermit. We've worked our way all the way up, and now we're at the center. Okay, so now what do we do? At the moment that this flash takes place within you, you are propelled across the inner cube, through the center and out the other side to the south face. You travel on the judgment card. During your crossing, you suddenly intersect with the world card in the center. You're still alive, but here you've come face to face with God from the vantage point of your higher self. Whoa! You've just discovered that the interior of the cube corresponds to the inner spiritual planes of reality. Just remember, the 3 mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet reside within the cube. They are the most powerful of the 22 letters. The judgment card is a mother letter representing the element fire. It enlivens our awareness to the realization that we are on the threshold of blending with the universal mind. Briefly, your inner and outer worlds have become one. In a flash, we know that our personality has no separate existence. Sorry to say, but this is a fleeting experience. That's because it's not brought on under our control by our conscious mind. But not to worry, that ability will come later as we progress along the path around the cube. So from here, you went through the cube to the other side. At the center of the cube is the world card. Remember, the very center. We've already checked in with that card. The timeless experience that we have at the center is a great purifier. It is a baptism by fire. Again, the illumination. You are awash in the white light of spirit, and your previous doubts and fears are burned away. At the center, you also experience the Fool card, your higher self, because remember, they're both in the center. All of this happens very quickly, but never to be forgotten. You then burst through the center of the south face and arrive at the sun card in the middle. So you have made it through the north face, traveled through the center of the cube, and arrived at the south face. The sun is at its blazing zenith and is surrounded by the moon, transition, the star, and the teacher cards. At this point, you are ready to meet your true teacher. Ta-da! Any questions? For me, this is great fun. It allows you to recognize or cognize things you need to work on in order to get to certain points in your spiritual growth. It just makes it simpler. So here you've gone through all the cards, and you've done them in rows, and you've learned about them. But now you have to start working the cards, and therefore the cube of space gives you an ideal sort of overview as to what you need to accomplish in certain phases. And there's 6 phases because there's 6 sides to the card. Plus you head through the center. That's the only way you're going to get through. And when you go through the center, you run into the Fool, which is your inner self, with your being aware of it. So what you went through in reversal has now come full swing. So there you are. Any questions, my dear friends?
Amazing.
It's
Amazing.
I love the tarot because it has so many ways to help us to understand what we're doing on the planet. And still, we are part of Mother Nature because we're in bodies that were created by Mother Nature. But we are not that. We are God beings. We're sons of God. I can call you Doug Christ and Charlie Christ and Ann Christ and Tracy Christ and Nancy Christ and Christy Christ and Sue Christ and Eli Christ and Dana Christ. Yeah, you're there. You just did that reversal thing when you arrived. And learning about your tools releases that. Plus, you are so loved by your creator that it will give you everything you want. And when you pay attention and recognize it, it shows up. In a sense, it's always next to you, but you can't hear it. Now it gets a little louder. God, yes, it gets a little louder and says, do this. And then you try something and go, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. Yeah, love this person. Oh, that person's an idiot. I don't ever want to oh my God. No, just love that person. Just when you love that person, you release things in your mind as to what love is. Someone who it wouldn't occur to you to care about. So there we are. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for
Wonderful.
joining. And here we are again.
Thank you, Margot.
You're
Thank you,
very
Margot.
welcome. I'm glad you all make it
Wonderful.
through these classes.
Wonderful.
You know, the journey, the hero's journey is not all treading through the woods and chopping down things and creating fires. No, there's a lot of joy and fun. And if things are too chaotic, always put the word sacred in front of them, and then it'll make you have to step back. Sacred chaos, the best way to look at our life on the planet Earth. And then bless everyone around you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Good night, all.
Thank
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night, everyone. Glad you
Have
came.
fun.